Hello and welcome to Scots United, where I, Scott, and my team of Scots, who are also me, bring you the latest in movies, television, and popular culture. This week, we're going to start with a movie, not one in theaters, but one available to you at home.
Hey Scott, so I finally saw Aquaman on HBO.
Now, we are a firmly Marvel-watching family, but I will overlook it. So, what about it?
It's typical, sometimes charming.
So, we're lukewarm.
Well, it's one of those movies where, I can see totally the impact it would have in a theater. Because they really put thought into action sequences, into making the underwater world really interesting, the creatures, the characters, the costumes, the manipulation of water, all of that. I mean, there's some really amazing set pieces, and the visuals are stunning. And I'm sure, had I seen it on the big screen, I would have been, more impressed. It would have been more impactful.
Okay, so who's bad in it?
I mean, no one's bad. I feel like they give Jason Momoa some kind of lofty speeches that I feel like he can't quite get his mouth around. Like, occasionally, I couldn't help but just, say, if I was on set, I need to clean up the T's on there and make this word more understandable. Like, he kind of mumbles through some stuff, which makes me wonder how he got through Conan when they rebooted Conan with him, because again, it would have been these sort of lofty speeches in a certain kind of dialect and kind of speech pattern that wouldn't be normal for him, and was that a struggle? I don't know. I mean, he does great. When he's allowed to kind of have the smirk and the sneer and the glimmer in his eye that he's so good at, it goes over, great. Amber Heard seems like it's just a struggle at times for her to get her lines out, and like she's almost suppressing a chuckle because she's saying silly things that only make sense in the world of comic books. I mean, certainly Nicole Kidman classes up the joint, and that's why they hired her. She said she did it for her kids, and that's sweet. And she looks great, and she is great. And Patrick Wilson's always good. I think he went on a real diet for this. He certainly shaved some years off. Although they use that technology a lot where they make people look younger. So Willem Dafoe is in it, but there's a younger version of him. Tamara Morrison, who plays Aquaman's dad, looks a little bit too shiny in his young version, but he's a great actor, and I loved seeing him in this.
Yeah, when they start approaching the uncanny valley with that whole de-aging thing, it gets a little wincy, Final thoughts?
See it in the biggest format possible if you haven't already. So maybe, me watching it on my laptop really wasn't the best form, but, it was a good time.
Now let's turn to TV and to Netflix. So I started watching The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, the new series on Netflix, the follow-up to the movie from the early 80s. And I'm of two thoughts. What's one? Well, one, it's interesting to be back in this world, the world of Thra. They got Jim Henson, not him, he's dead, but, his Jim Henson Company is back on. They recreated puppets, they made new puppets, and it's a neat, interesting world that I have a great fondness from my childhood. And two feels like it's going to be bad. Something feels off. I've only watched 2 episodes. It's relatively close, I think, to when the Dark Crystal would happen, because the Gelfling are alive, but they're about to figure out what the Skeksis are starting to do and what they've done, both to the planet and now also to Gelflings. So, that's interesting, I guess. And then, although I'm also kind of like, how is it going to end? I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know that all the Gelfling are exterminated, essentially. So that's kind of a grim ending. Yeah, that's grim. I mean, all these years have passed, and there's definitely some CGI added on top of the puppets, but I almost feel like there's something lost in this one. It doesn't seem quite as beautiful or quite as magical. There's moments, but then there are moments that I don't know, don't quite like. we're just having a real lukewarm week.
When all is said and done, I'll finish the season. I'll be curious to see what they do. But so far, I mean, you can never go home again. Maybe that's it. But I can still watch The Dark Crystal now, the movie, and be just enchanted by it. And so far, not really enchanted.
That's it for Scotch United this week. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again next week. It's been a year. Thank you if you've been subscribing, if you've been tuning in. Hey, we're going to keep at it. It's really for you, for my friends, my family. I hope I've steered you in some good directions, some good shows, some good movies, and keep on keeping on.